Good evening, and welcome to Ask the Unicorn, also known as the Way of the Unicorn. I'm Ahura Z, and this is Kazi.
Hello. Tonight is episode 47 and it is August 27th.
And I'm very glad to see you all. I hope you've had a wonderful week thus far. Today is Wednesday, and this is what they usually call a hump day. I just call it Wednesday. But as you can tell, it's a little warm, and a lot of things have been happening in the warmth, and that's good. We went to the beach earlier today just to check up on some water.
Yes, and it was good.
It was a lot of fun. So,
Screaming children. Screaming girls.
oh yeah,
Screaming little girls.
little girls drawing attention to themselves.
Ah,
But I hope you all have some good questions this evening. I've been looking forward to the show all day. As I can see right now, there are no questions, but I will answer any questions that you have pertaining to the metaphysical, the spiritual, the paranormal, and the mystical. However, there are two types of questions that I refuse to answer, and I will not answer them, and that is whether or not someone is going to die or whether or not someone is cheating on someone. Those things are just kind of things you should ask the person directly or just wait until the Reaper decides that he's going to do what he's going to do. Beyond that, any question is fair game. If you have questions that have to do with something being haunted, perhaps you feel as though you have some paranormal ability and you need to have some questions answered, or even thinking about developing your skill or developing your talent. Perhaps you had something that you remember as a child and now it's reoccurring, or perhaps there are some mystical questions or spiritual questions that you have that you need answers to. I also answer questions that are of a religious nature. I myself probably I lean more towards uh, spirituality in the way of, because religion is spiritual as well, but I lean towards spirituality in the way that anything that causes a person to restrict their lives, as long as they're not hurting, or if they are not hurting anybody, or they're trying to live a good life, then you're living a very spiritual life. And there are a lot of different religions that have many restrictions on things, and I'm really not much into that at all. But my qualifications do give me the ability to answer certain things. And yes, I do know the Bible. I'm pretty good with it. So if you have some questions that are a little confusing in the way of religion versus spirituality versus paranormality, etc., 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 I am your answer person.
we have a question.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
Now, that being said, I am not the type of person that's going to answer questions such as whether you should choose one thing or another. That's up to you and only up to you. My job is to help you to understand the pros and cons of anything that you are going to choose. And if you do choose to develop your skill, if you have a skill, then I do teach classes as well. Now, for those of you that have questions, you can go to the chat room, as Kazi just notified me that there are questions. But if you feel like calling, you can give us a call at area code 207 347 4686. Wait. 347 6846.
Wow. No, 347 5686.
5686, sorry. I don't know why I have those numbers in my head. You know. Anyway, you can give us a call and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so what have you got?
Somebody asks, what was the Maori healers group you were talking about on Facebook the other day?
That was Atarangi Muru. And she's a very wonderful person, her and her husband and friend. That would be Bill Monday and Tui Paul, that were here in Maine just for one day. Wait, it was a couple of days, wasn't it?
Yeah. They were doing healing sessions for one day.
Yeah, they were doing healing sessions for one day, and it was really awesome. They've gone to Los Angeles since then, and she's a wonderful person. You can probably look her up on Facebook and perhaps talk to her as well. I was very not surprised at the fact that a lot of her techniques are similar to my own, and for me, it was like being with family. Um, and as soon as they saw me, they greeted me. It was really kind of funny, actually, because when she saw me, she started talking to me in Te Reo, which is the Maori language. But I am not fluent in Te Reo. I understood some things, but she gave the Maori greeting, which is Kia ora, and it means more than just a greeting. But and I greeted her back Kia ora, and then she started talking to me in Te Reo, and I said, okay. I'm sorry, I'm not fluent in Te Reo. So the other Tui asked me, she started talking to me, and I said, I'm not fluent in Te Reo. I have the look and the gift and the teleplace, but I don't know the language as yet. I'm working on it. So it was pretty cool, and they all welcomed me, and my students with open arms. It was great, you know. They were looking for sea urchin. I couldn't find them any sea urchin because evidently you need a license to sell sea urchin.
In Maine.
In Maine, because you need something in Maine all the time. Simple things. But the next time they come, I'll have sea urchin for them. But they're a wonderful group. Look them up. As a matter of fact, they do whole seminars that you can sign up for. You can actually have to go to New Zealand to attend them. But I got invited home, as she said. She said for me to come home and learn it. So I would like to do that at some point in time.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, totally awesome.
And then you come home with more tattoos. Tattoos.
But it was a wonderful experience, and that's who you're looking for. Atarangi Muru. Yes, her name is as unique as mine. Okay. All right. So, is there another question?
No. I think a lot of people are back to school shopping this evening, so it's kind of quiet.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's really quiet tonight.
It is rather quiet tonight. Are there any people even in the chat room besides maybe just a couple? 3? Well, that's great. So this is a prime opportunity for you all to ask some questions that you need answered. I am your answer person, and from time to time I may decide to teach on a certain subject. As a matter of fact, while we're on this subject, I was talking to a student of mine just yesterday, and she was telling me how, because she's a practitioner, and one of her friends decided that they were going to be concerned for her immortal soul. And yeah, they were going to be, they're concerned for her immortal soul because she has a teacher.
Huh?
Yeah, this is a person who started the church that just wants her to go to their church. And, I think the interesting thing about that, to me, was the fact that someone decided that they're going to take a path in their life, and because this person is doing something that it even says not to do in the Bible, because you're not supposed to judge anybody. If you're actually looking to be Christian, one of the things to understand is that being Christian means to be Christ-like, which basically says that you're supposed to follow the ways of Christ. And Jesus had to be one of the most non-judgmental people that there ever were. As a matter of fact, he stated openly, he wasn't here for those people that thought of themselves as righteous beings. He was here for those people that didn't know anything, that didn't understand anything about that. It's just basically to help them to learn and to develop and to grow. But the last thing that you're going to be able to do is to judge a person if you want to help them. We've had about enough of that. We live in the year 2014, and we're still kind of stupid, because we still have certain separations, such as what religion you are, what color you are, what race you are, what sex you are, and what your sexual preference is, and what your creed is, or whatever. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. You think that we get beyond those kind of things, but now you've got religion wars that are sitting and telling people, like they always have, that because you practice anything that has to do with spirituality, then you must be a sinner, when the whole basis of being Christian has to do with being a spiritual person. Again, Jesus was one of the most real people ever, and reality, as far as I understand, is being spiritual. And the first lesson of spirituality is reality. So I would tell all of you people out there that if someone tries to step on your belief, no matter what that belief is, or if someone tries to step on you and your way of being, and they try to use fear by telling you something like you're going to go to hell if you don't believe in something, then that is not the type of belief that you want any part of. Because as a matter of fact, you have to think about this. God is this omnipotent, omnipresent being that is all powerful, so why would you want to stop being God just to pick on your butt? It doesn't make any sense. Okay? As a matter of fact, you're supposed to understand that God is a loving God, and the last thing that a loving person needs to do is to use fear to threaten people into believing in them. That's Isn't that what most of the bad guys did? you know, as far as I understand, it's that other guy that uses fear, to coerce people into believing any part of them. So this person didn't understand that my title is actually Reverend Mohorozi Deliza, for those of you that do not know that. Understanding that I'm well versed in spiritual books of just about any type, because growing up that's all I had. I look in the Bible, and yes, I do have one, and to see what it does say and what it does not say. Because people make up stuff all the time. They'll look at you if you happen to be a smoker and say, "Use not your mouth as a chimney pipe and your nose as a stove," or something like that. That's what my grandmother said once, and I said it doesn't say that in the Bible, but she totally made it up. That happens all the time, though. For instance, those people that decided that I was an idolater because I have the symbol of the unicorn on my door. And, I told them, I said, did you know that the unicorn was a symbol of Christ? But they had magnificent, gigantic wooden crosses on their neck. And nowhere in the Bible does it say that the cross is a symbol of Christ. But it does mention the unicorn in the Bible. So just a thought, but you'll have hell trying to convince these people that they're the ones that are being the idolaters, and they're also the ones that are being highly judgmental. And Jesus says, judge not lest you be judged. In other words, you're not supposed to do that. Leave people alone. If someone wants to do something and they're not hurting anybody, leave them alone. Okay, so if someone wants to develop their energy, or they want to develop a gift that has been given to them by God Himself, who the hell are you to tell them that they're wrong? Oh, that's right. People like that also called Jesus a witch. They called Jesus a devil. They called Him a demon. They called Him a magician, an evil wizard. They spat on Him, threw stones at Him, did everything they possibly do to hurt and destroy Him. But then later, when they discovered that He had moved on, they decided to name Him the Son of God, like He told them that He was in the first place. Just a thought. So, when you get someone that tries to threaten you with fear, tell you you're going to be thrown into a lake of fire, you need to leave that person alone, okay? You need to go someplace else and tell that person to give you 50 feet between you and them, okay? Because God does not use fear. Neither does the goddess. It's just so absurd. And as you can see, there's this little thing that I'm trying not to do, and that is rant about things, but it just keeps getting thinner and thinner. I keep feeling like I have to rant. So just a thought. All right, are there any questions yet at all?
Yes.
Okay, what have you got?
This question comes from Bunny Bite, a chat room user.
Okay.
They say, astral being possessions, how can I get rid of it? I need serious help.
Okay. If you need serious help, one of the things that I can do is to help you at least abate the attacks for a bit until you can give me a call. And the number is area code 207-347-5686. Okay. I had a bunch of numbers. What? I had a bunch of numbers running through my head earlier, and I couldn't.
207-347-5686.
Okay, just give me a call, and we can set up an appointment for you, and I can set up something where I can sit and talk to you at length about that. But in the meantime, I want you to do this. I want you to get just a plain, unscented white candle, and light that candle. Make sure that it's safe while you're sleeping, and it'll enable you to get some rest. Also, what you might do to cut down the astral emanation, because it is very possible to do that, is get about 3 teaspoons of plain vinegar, a clear vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of just either regular salt or sea salt. Put it in a glass dish. It has to be glass, do you understand? Not plastic, not tin, glass, okay? And mix it so that you create kind of a paste, and put it up in the upper corner of your room someplace. it will cut the astral emanation. You should be able to rest. And by talking to you, I can determine whether or not it's really something really serious, or is it something that you can just do by yourself. Okay? So please give me a call. We'll have a chat, talk about it. All right? In the meantime, follow those instructions. They will help you.
We have another question from David Jonathan Beale. He says, I'm interested in taking a class with Ahura after starting my job soon for working on my own abilities. What all can I expect?
You can expect to be taught. And you can expect to have something that's very clear and very concise for you to be able to develop your abilities or have many of your questions answered. You are talking about 6 weeks of class, and that is 2 classes per week, and that is an hour each class. And we will find out what it is that you can excel at, and then teach you along those lines. Every person is not the same. You can't teach 2 people the same. However, there are regular courses that I give. Perhaps you want to learn astrology or numerology, telemetry. It's also known as psychometry. Perhaps you want to learn circuitry, which is also known as palmistry. There's also soul travel. There is regression. There is many other things. Perhaps you would like to learn vibrational frequency, and I do recommend that wholeheartedly. Perhaps you would like to learn psychic self-defense. As a matter of fact, psychic self-defense is a part of the course that is given to every single student, okay, because you have to learn how to protect your energy. You also have to learn how to protect your home and basic awareness skills, okay. Beyond that, if you choose specialized training after that initial 6 weeks, then we can talk more. Okay.
Awesome. Michelle Ayot
Hello.
and Holly say hello.
Hello.
And Michelle Ayot also has a question. She says, speaking of Jesus, I was reading about Jesus and how he bled. As I read, I felt my left foot with a hole, and it felt moist. It wasn't actually moist, but I could feel it. Why do you think this happened?
Well, perhaps you were relating at that point with Jesus. I can tell you that there have been many manifestations that's known as a stigmata. Some people will bleed on 1 foot, some people on 2, some people on feet and hands, and even on the side. I myself have had occasion to have that manifested on 2 feet. And at the time it kind of freaked me out, but later on I understood what that was. It is one of those things that happens, and at that moment what it should do is be an identification that we are part of that sacred lineage that is of Christ. And if that is happening to you, there's always physical evidence. It's not just an etheric evidence, it is definitely physical. For a while, I went not being able to wear closed shoes, and there are other points in times that I have gone through those particular types of things. So I can tell you that it is a very marked manifestation. It does happen, and it's very rare that it happens, but it does happen. And what that is a personal identification and your actual, what do you want to call it? I hate to use the word proof, because you really don't need any proof. But it's one of those things that helps you to ground an experience and understanding what it is that you have gone through, or what it is that Jesus may have gone through, or many other Christs have gone through. There were also many Christs that you will not learn of, or maybe you will learn of them. There have been several that have come here, and all of them were not male. But it's really interesting. We live in a very patriarchal time that did anything that it possibly could to expunge the whole matriarch end of divinity. But we have evolved to a degree that we can say, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. Okay, so that was just a personal identification, and is a very unique experience. And if you actually did find blood there, then we would need to talk about and investigate that a little more. Okay. Hope that helps you out. What else we got?
That's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
My, you guys are quiet this evening.
Well, tomorrow is the first day of school.
So?
So maybe everybody's like...
That doesn't have much to do with now.
So maybe people are getting their families wrangled and... Wrangling the children.
Wrangled.
Children.
Children should be in bed.
That's what they're doing. They're wrangling their children.
Yeah, sorry kids. Summer's over. You gotta go back. That sucks. But it is what it is, right? Okay. Now, as I was saying earlier, what it is that you believe and what it is that you choose to believe in is always your choice. Okay? And don't worry. That free will that was given to you, I would think that God would be more pleased with you being able to use it than not using it and just following what everybody else did, because you might be afraid of it. Or you might be afraid of God. You think about that just for a moment. I always talk about this from time to time. You know, it must be really hard being God, understanding that people are afraid of you, and you really didn't do anything to make them afraid of you. That sucks, because you really don't have any friends. You know, it's like people are, I think that, they say what they want to, but I think more of those people that I call pseudo-Christians are actually afraid of Jesus coming back. You know?
They wouldn't even recognize him.
No, they wouldn't at all. So many people have said that they were Jesus, you know, and at the same time, you know, if Jesus did, you know, manifest right in front of them, they would tell him he was crazy and try to lock him up in P6 or something. You know? If you think about it just for a second, we are a nation of extremely phony people. Great, we have our sincere points, but we're also very, very phony. If you don't believe that we're really, really phony, all you have to do is put something that's a really important issue on Facebook and see how many people actually hit like. But then when it comes down to doing something, see how many people really just do it. You know, we put up a good front. But the thing with divinity is that you can't really put up a front for long, because divinity always shatters that front, and then you have to come real. Wow. Did you guys hear that? That was Link snoring. You know, so like I said, if you guys have any questions, please, you know, ask your questions. You know, I'm here, and even though it's back to school night, wow, that's kind of cheap. We didn't have to go back to school till September 11th.
It's usually after Labor Day, and Labor Day for some reason is early this year.
Probably because
September
somebody decided,
1st?
well, kids should be in school all year. They don't deserve a vacation.
Well, we have another question or comment from Michelle again. She says, a lot of times when I will be coming and crossing with something religious, when I'm coming into contact with something religious like a cross or something in reference to Jesus, that feeling happens.
Okay.
Her foot.
Okay. Next time, check it.
She says.
See what happens.
She says, you have taken my fear away.
Good. You don't need any fear.
Awesome.
It doesn't do anything but freeze you. What is it that they said in Dune? Fear is the mind killer. You know.
Oh, I was thinking Yoda. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to
true.
hate.
Well, you got to do it right, though. Fear leads
do
to anger. Anger leads to hate. You know, and it's the truth, though. Underneath anger, underneath hatred,
The dark side.
is fear.
The dark side.
Whatever. It's fear, okay? And that's something that nobody needs. Fear is one of those things that should be expunged. And anybody who tries to use fear tactics to make you do anything needs to be put in jail. I mean, seriously. Because, listen, I'm a psychic policeman, okay? Now, let me explain that. That is different from being a police psychic. The police did not come to me and say, hey, would you be one of our psychics and help us out on one of these cases? Although that's happened. But still, I am a psychic policeman. It means I have the ability to police the metaphysical world, to police the spiritual world. I have that ability. And that ability was given to me by God and Goddess. So I use it. Not to mention the 6 years of formal training that I went through with my teacher. So, when I police someone, I take that into consideration. Is this person trying to use fear to cause someone to do something? You're not supposed to do that. And if I had my druthers in legislature, it would be passed. Yes, there would be psychic laws. Those laws are anytime you decide to perform a curse on someone, anytime you use fear and you perform a psychic attack and it can be proved that you have performed a psychic attack, you would be put in jail, just like someone who did a physical crime, because it is a crime. In fact, I even sent a letter to that guy to
That guy.
well, that's what John McCain called it. To Obama to apply for Minister of Metaphysics, and I believe that I deserve the job because there's a lot of stuff that would be changed. So like I said, if I could get it into the legislature, I would, because there's a lot of things that people do to each other that is just cruel, especially in the name of religion, going around telling people that you're afraid for their immortal soul. Your freaking soul is immortal. What is there to be afraid of? Okay? This person goes around judging people and telling them that everybody's a sinner, but they're not afraid for their own soul. They're just afraid for yours because you didn't go to their church. Let's get something really, really straight, people. Being Christian, being Catholic, being Jewish, being Protestant, Lutheran, what's the other? Unitarian, Baptist, Lutheran, whatever you are. These are not teams. These are not football teams.
Entity football teams.
Okay? These are merely ways to express how you think of God, or what your relationship is with divinity. It's not a team. You're not going out and winning people. You can't win anybody's soul. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely stupid. Okay? Understand this. God is, was, and ever shall be God. Goddess is, was, and ever shall be goddess. Okay? There is nothing that any of us can do about that. They do not need a witness. They do not need teams. They don't even need you to worship them. How about try talking to them? How about try not being afraid of them? How about being yourself and enjoying them and allowing them to enjoy you at the same time? How about being free enough to understand that we are all part of the same family? And if you choose to look at them as mother and father, they're not an abusive mother and father. I grew up with an abusive mother and father, okay? That sucks. I never wanted to be around them. And when I tried to be around them, all I got was beaten. Okay? I don't choose to look at God that way. I don't choose to look at Goddess that way. And from what I see, they are not that way. So anyone that tells me that they're waiting around for me to draw my last breath on this earth just so that they can throw me into a lake of fire and have me burn for eternity, that is not the type of being I want to be around. They didn't say that. Some dingbat did, and forced a lot of people to write it in what we call a Bible. Yes, there were people forced to write that. That's why some people know the truth, because they decided to rewrite it again. Created a new invented version. What do they call it? NIV? Okay, listen. If God wanted to talk to you, believe you me, He doesn't need a book to talk to you through. It's a medium. But if you can't talk to yourself, and you can't talk to people, and you can't look and see God in every single thing somehow, some way, understanding that there are enough strings that are holding your puppeteer-like body up. There's no electrical mechanism that is on the inside of you that's causing your voice. There's something that causes you to be able to see, to hear, to taste, to touch, to smell, to experience, to perceive, to think. Something behind what you think is behind what those senses are. If you can't see that, then any book that you read is just a load of hogwash. You need to start thinking about the God that is in you and the God that is in your brother and your sister. What is it? God created man in his own image. That's wonderful. Do you think that it was just kind of a misnomer that, or excuse me, a mistake that they didn't say that God created men and women in their image? That was done on purpose, mainly to subjugate people. Do you think that God really wants you on your knees? You can't do crap on your knees. Well, there's some things you can do, but I don't necessarily think that they're of God. But those things were made to keep people subjugated. Get down on your knees and bow kneel before Zod. No, God doesn't need that kind of.
Gonna sing. Go out.
Kneel before your God.
Tokra.
I need flashy eyes.
Flashy.
You know, I choose to think of God and goddesses the safe place that I have. The one safe place that I've got.
Well, we have a question.
Sure.
Holly wants to know, and she says, actually, Joe wants to know.
Hey, Joe.
What does it mean to worship goddess?
To worship, first off, I don't think that you should ever do. What it means to know the goddess or get to know the goddess is to know that one being that will stick up for you when nobody else will. To know that one being that does give a damn, not just in thought, but will do something so that you know it even on a physical level. Enjoys watching you do what you do and make sure that you get the opportunity to do what you do. It's that one person that will give you the hug that you've always needed. And that can come from the inside or from the outside. It is that one thing that compels you to say a prayer when there's nothing or no one else around. It is that one thing that makes you look up at the sunset or the sunshine or just be out at the beach and just feel everything is going to be all right. You know, my own personal story is long, so I won't go into it, but I'll go into part of it. I remember back, you know, when I first started here in Maine, I thought, you know, I could rally the troops and get a bunch of, you know, get these help strong men, you know, learn the ways of God, you know, because my name means God's champion. So I said, okay, so I'm going to be champion. And I had gone through some experiences that just made me feel as though I was anything but God's champion. I remember sitting up under this giant statue of Athena, who I always called Mother. And I was sitting up under that statue, and I looked up and I said, you know, I was just talking to God, and I was sitting there, you know, had my sunglasses on. I decided that I was going to feed the pigeons while I was sitting there. And of course, you know, in the square they like to tell people, don't feed the pigeons. And I just looked at them and say, do I seriously look like one of those people that's going to listen to a damn thing you have to say right now? And I remember I said, I'm sorry, I just don't feel like God's champion today. And you know, this woman's voice rang out in my head. And it said, well, that's because you forgot we need a champion too. And I stopped, I looked up at Athena, and I went,
Yeah, for a smart guy, you're pretty dumb. Cool.
I said, okay, I get it. I apologize. I'm so sorry. And it was then that I understood that force that had been with me for so long, because people had said that they saw it, they would see it, and they'd say, you know, you were up singing, because I sang across the country. You were singing, and it looked like this giant giant, really beautiful blue woman was standing and looking at you singing and just smiling. And I said, well, I always called her my blue lady, and because this giant woman, goddess, and that's how I thought of her. And from that moment on, I said, I understand. I got it. You see, you can't be God's champion without being the goddess's champion. They don't have our issues. They don't bicker amongst themselves. They don't try to choose or pick which one of them is the better. You look at a lot of things, all you see is the goddess, 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 and the goddess. Or you'll see God, 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 God. But you know something? You can't have one without the other. Period. You can't. And for us men, listen, let me let you in on something inside. You better get to know the goddess. That is our saving grace. Okay? Am I getting through? You must get to know the goddess. There is no salvation for man unless it is the goddess. Likewise, women should get to know God, but not the God that you've been told about that is judging you constantly, that likes to do crap like burn you at the stake, accuse you of being witches, torture you to hell, do every single thing they possibly can to subjugate your frickin' life. Not that one. I know a different God. I also know a different goddess. She is that blanket that I have when I am the most insecure. She is what keeps me going. You want a crusade? Get to know the goddess. Seek her out. You'll find her all over the place. And stand fast. Seek all that you can, and then pick and choose. Don't just believe everything, because there's a lot of cuckoo nuts that go out and write things that are just as whacked out as the Bible. There's some truth in the Bible. A lot of it is just totally whacked out, though, dude. Seriously. So, you'll have to determine what your relationship is with the goddess. I do not worship the goddess because I don't think that she stands for that. I have a relationship with her. Hard to explain that. But see, there were a lot of people that remember having good experiences with their parents. You have this mother that would do these wonderful things for you. Just because I don't have those, not on a physical level. I don't have those. I told you all last week there were 5 very wonderful women that reached out to help me in my life, and none of them were my physical mother. As a matter of fact, she did everything to defeat me. I just wouldn't go down. Yet I was the only one that refused to disrespect her. So, all I've had is divinity. That's what I've clung to in my whole life. Tried to destroy my faith in God and in Goddess. Tried to sway my belief that they are existent. Tried to tell me that I don't know that God and Goddess exist. Let me tell you something, and I'll say this for anybody who chooses to hear it. I would die 1,000 deaths and still be willing to die 1,000 more before I would give up that knowledge, before you could change my mind, before you could sway me in any way, shape, or form, before you could shake my eternal, what do you call it, faith. and say, I don't really believe in them. You see, the moment that you know something, belief is irrelevant. For those of you that don't believe, that's your choice. For those of you that don't know that God exists, that is your choice. I think you do. I think deep behind all of those things that say that you are, what is that funny word? People who are utterly confused, agnostic, and that whole atheist thing, fine. Entertain that all you'd like. But the fact that a person would call themselves an atheist, which is someone who actively does not believe in God, proves that you do. Otherwise, why would you actively disbelieve something that you say doesn't exist? It's cause for thought. Anyway, I choose not to use the word worship because it seems to have an evil connotation to it. How about you just become a student? How about you just become a servant? How about you just become someone who is seeking and someone who wishes to experience the goddess? You'll find that worship pales in comparison. Hope that helps you out, Jeff. You too, Holly. All right, what else have we got for me?
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Did we get 4 people in there yet?
There's a whole 8.
Wow, that's cool. We went from 3 to 8. I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah.
So, if you guys have any other questions about the goddess, you know, they get misquoted all the time. They also get misnamed all the time. People who refuse to say their names right. Or people who just refuse to understand their attribute. People that lie about them blatantly. Especially some of my, I don't want to say favorites, but the ones that I really know. Or I can know them as much as I think I can know them. And that is Athena and Artemis. And Aphrodite. In fact, I know Aphrodite really well. Did you know there really is a Cupid? Did you know there really is a statue of Cupid? Did you know that it has magic and that statue can cause you to like be enamored? I've seen it.
What's the
What?
Cupid statue?
Yeah, Cupid statue. Yeah.
Where?
Well, I saw it in the La Brea Museum. And the silver arrows were with it, but the bow was gone.
I gotta look it up.
I don't know if it's still there. It was great. I felt this energy and magic too, and I had to shake it off and back up. Because you get in a certain proximity, and you get in a proximity at the same time as someone else, you'll look at that person and they will become you'll become totally glamored. And I knew what was happening. I said, ah! And I backed up.
What color was it? Is it silver?
No, it was made of
Gold?
porcelain, and it had silver inlays. Oh, you're not good, man. We're not doing that right now.
I will look it up.
There are many statues of Cupid, but that one was real. It was awesome. But then I understand. See, you can't be in the presence of something like that and have what happened to you happen to me without getting the full knowledge of things happen. That's kind of one of the trials of being a telepath, because the moment that you step into an energy, you know where the energy came from and where it's going. It's just really odd, but it was actually pretty cool. So, do we get any questions yet?
No.
No questions. All right, you people. This show is called Ask the Unicorn. It is also called The Way of the Unicorn. That basically means that I wait for you to ask questions. Well, I don't really wait for you to ask questions, but I like it when you do ask questions. But if you're not going to ask any questions, I'm talking about something that I want to talk about. Okay, let's see. I like to talk about the movies. I am an independent filmmaker, and I know a lot of independent filmmakers that are I'm in one film that is called, well, it's being renamed, so I can't really tell you what it's called. But the other film that I am making is called Falcare. As a matter of fact, I posted something on Facebook about Falcare, that I finished the newer rendition of Gaia Chant. For those of you that were involved in Gaia Chant, the whole Gaia Chant segment, I'll be calling on you all so that we can finish that particular scene, and that's just to end out the scene. But Falcare promises to be a wonderful film. I'd like for you all to back your independent filmmakers that are local. For those of you that are not in Maine, back your independent filmmakers wherever you are, because these are people that are trying very, very hard to bring you good entertainment. Okay, and there are a lot of people that really enjoy films that may not get the opportunity to do films with Hollywood because Hollywood likes using the same people over and over again. They like doing the same movies over and over again. We talk about that from time to time. But you know, I'm kind of tired of seeing the Wahlbergs, even though they're okay. You know, I just don't want to see them in every movie. Damn, you know, give somebody else a shot. And for those of you that may be Hollywood producers that might be by chance listening or get to see my show at some point, do you know that there is more black people in this world than Morgan Freeman? I mean, I admire Morgan Freeman and all, but you don't have to use him for every movie. There's other people that want to be in the movies as well. Just to let you know. And all superheroines are not skinny.
Natalie has a question.
Hello, Nat. What's up?
Pending. She's typing it out.
Okay, so pending. I just decided to stick that in there, just to say that about the films, because I kind of get tired of the same person. I mean, I like Morgan Freeman. I like him. But there's some roles that they put that he shouldn't have been in. You know, I also like Patrick Stewart. I think Patrick Stewart's an alien. But it would be really cool if he like, you love seeing him as Professor X. You just do. But I would like to see a new Star Trek with Jean-Luc Picard in it. That would be awesome. Anything at all?
Pending.
Pending. Okay, so you know, so
she should call in. Natalie, you should just call in.
Yeah, but I'd like for you all to back your independent filmmakers, okay? And if you'd like to be able to check out what we're doing with Falcare, just go to www.falcaremovie.com and you can check us out. Or for those of you that are less adventuresome, you can just hit like on Facebook. That is what people do. Like.
That's all they do on Facebook. Like. God. Okay. Here's a question. I find it easier to forgive other people but not myself. What's up with that? How can I change that? It's causing me a lot of grief.
Well, you have to know what forgiveness is, first off. Forgiving someone doesn't mean allowing them to do something to you again and again and again. Forgiving someone is saying, okay, I get it. You messed up. Okay? That's fine. Don't do it again. And if that person does do it again, then you back the hell away from them. Okay? Now, when it comes to yourself, you need to ease up on yourself a little bit. Okay? You do things wrong from time to time. We all do things wrong from time to time. There's not one among us that didn't screw up from time to time. And if you see it that way, you'll say, okay, I screwed that up. I'm going to do my best to make sure that doesn't happen again. Don't say this. Don't say, I'm not ever going to do that again. That's not true. It's better for you to say, I will do my best to ensure that I don't do that again. I will do my very best to make sure that I do something different. And if you do make a mistake, try not to make the same mistake twice. Do something different. You know, learn from your mistakes. Forgive yourself. It's okay. You messed up. So what? Just, you know, don't do something again. Don't make promises you know you can't keep. Just don't. Things come up from time to time. You know, you're young. I mean, you're just a kid. And I know that, you know, when you're just a kid and you're the person that's posing a question like this, you're like 18 years old, you don't need to hear someone say, oh, you're young, because this is really annoying. So I apologize for that. But on the other end of it means that you can do and be and go anywhere you want to go, or to do whatever you want to do, be whatever you want to be. You're right at the beginning of your life. Don't start putting pressures on yourself by saying, you know, I just can't forgive myself for doing this. oh my God, I'm a horrible person. So what? You're a horrible person. Be a good person now. That doesn't mean allow something to happen and do something that because someone may have gotten hurt by what it is that you've done. Don't go curbing your life because you don't want to have that person, feel bad because maybe you stepped on their toe twice. Just don't step on their toe. But don't make promises you can't keep. So give yourself a break, Nat. You're a kid. And at least be around people that aren't going to judge you and make you feel bad about doing certain things. Also, you're a Piscean. That means that we Pisceans are like the eternal heart of the world. So we don't like to make people feel bad, because then we wind up feeling bad for making that person feel bad, and then we wind up being guilty, which causes us to do something entirely different, which puts us in very, very awkward position. You should be a little more like me. You screw up, okay? You ask people to forgive you. And if they can't forgive you, you use this old thing that I heard once, you screw them if they can't take a joke. You messed up. That doesn't mean that you're going to be like horrible the rest of your life. Give yourself a break. It is always harder to forgive yourself. Always. Just forgive yourself. Move on. Do better. Make a promise to yourself that you will do better. You'll make it. I hope that helps you. Alright, what time are we at?
8:54.
Okay, we got a little bit more time. Anybody have any questions?
There is a long lag.
Is there really?
There is a long lag. For Scenari, anyways.
Bummer. It's really hot in here, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Don't I know it?
Well, I guess so. What is this?
Nothing. Nothing.
Oh, okay.
No questions.
All right. Well, since you all have no questions, I think that I will end this segment of Ask the Unicorn. I'd like to thank you all for attending.
Lisa says thanks.
No problem, Nat. Thank you all for attending, and please tell your friends about the show, and I hope that they watch and bring many, many questions. For those of you that would like to take classes from me, you can set up something. All you have to do is go to www.unicorn-cove.com and leave us a message or an email or whatever. You can also go to www.asktheunicorn.com, or you can give us a call at 347-5686. That's area code 207. And if you do that, please leave a message if no one answers the phone.
Jolana has a question. She's typing.
Hello, Jolana. How are you? Okay. So, I do teach classes, and I don't teach for free. For those of you that need to know. This is why I give this show, so people can ask you, or you can get some of your questions answered here on the show. This is kind of my way of doing some pro bono service, if that's what you want to call it, or giving something back, because people like doing that. They like to use terms like, this is my way of giving back, so I'm just going to say this is just my way of giving. Okay, I know that people have questions and people don't have a lot of money, so I provided a way for you to at least get some of the answers to your questions, okay, and get some help. But she's still typing.
Yes.
Long question.
People should just call in. It's quicker to call in than it is to type.
Yeah, it is.
Michelle says, I had a dream once that my dog had wounds on all her legs, like she had been bound at the feet. I also am fearful of her running off. Am I giving her this energy, and will it cause her harm in her life?
I think that you just answered that question yourself. You're the one that's giving your dog that energy. You're binding her so that she can't do anything. Maybe you just need to take her out a little more so she can run around. That would help.
Awesome. Alright, Johanna says, I am well. She says, how do you get your dreams into a journal? I dream a lot and want to capture them, but they seem to escape when I awake.
Well, this is what you do. You don't try to write the whole dream down in your journal. You just write something that will symbolize the dream. Write part of it and just say, this symbol represents this that I dreamt about. Like if you had a dream about the moon and doing something on the moon, then you just draw a picture of the moon and said an adventure. There's a picture of the moon and adventure, and that should click you into the awareness of the dream. A lot of times when you wake up, it may just be gone, but then something will trigger it to cause you to remember. So that's how you do that. Just write partial. And when you have the thought to write a dream down, you're supposed to just actually do it. I know that you say things like, well, I'll write it down in the morning, and then you forget. It's best for you to go ahead and do it. Okay? So do it that way. That will help you.
That's it.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right then. Once again, thank you for joining us on Ask the Unicorn. That's the Way of the Unicorn, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, remember what I said. Your beliefs are your own. How you think of developing and how you think of divinity is up to you. If you choose to take a mode of thought in divinity and someone can help you with that, then seek their help and then, grow, learn what you need to learn, and then move on. But don't let someone tell you things like, well, I'm concerned for your immortal soul, because they don't know your immortal soul. Hell, they don't even know their own immortal soul. Okay? So don't let people coerce you into doing things you don't want to do. Besides that, as I always say, try to be good to each other. Do your best to be good to each other, okay? I know that it can be done. Find some way to be good to someone. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you all next week. And Kazi will see you all next week on Ask the Unicorn.
Night night.